Breaking news, breaking news. Babylon will fall to the Medes, giving all praise to Yahweh Shemal Shai B'Shem Kakodash, giving all praises to Yahweh Shemal Shai B'Shem Kakodash. Now with Thun Kal Palau Yum La Yahweh Shemal Shai B'Shem Kakodash. So what I'm going to do is, the title is Babylon will fall to the Medes, and what is Article 5? What's that all about? If you've been watching the news today, it's been reported that Russia shot over about 100 missiles inside of the Ukraine, but 2 of them hit Poland and killed 2 people. They say the U.S. officials, so the news is still out. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to read this. I really should read the whole chapter. It's a quick one. But I'm going to read this here. Like when you go to the first couple of verses, it's really a build-up, prophecies about Babylon. So what people, what group or groups are prophesying against Babylon, which is the U.S.? We are the Israelites. Kemetic community is not doing that. The Moors are not doing that. The Nation of Islam is not doing that. Esau, the Bible thumping, Bible Belt Edomites, they're not doing it. The Arab world is not doing it. The Buddhists, none of them, none of those religions or ways of life are talking about the destruction of this place by Russia. So, the headline is to Isaiah 13:1 is prophecies about Babylon. So who are they? So this goes into us speaking of the downfall of Babylon the Great. And like I said, I should read the whole thing. I'm just going to go to the 17th verse, but I may jump back. Let's see where the Spirit takes me. I'm not going to make this long. Babylon will fall to the Medes. Behold, I will stir up the Medes. Now the Medes are the Russians. And I'm going to prove that with this biblical map. Because you're going to have certain people that will say, well, the Medes has nothing to do with Russia. The Medes is south of Russia. Yeah, and the scriptures said that because the scriptures couldn't say Russia. They had to say the land of the Medes. What part of the land of the Medes? When you go northeast of the land of the Medes, that's Russia today. When you go back during the time of Isaiah, you go back more than 2,000 years ago, and this is about 2,500 years ago, approximately. So there was no such place called Russia. And the scriptures call it Gog and Magog, because you had the sons of Japheth that occupied the current lands of Europe, Eastern Europe and Western Europe. Western Europe will be England, Spain, Germany, Turkey. And Eastern Europe would be to the uttermost east, which covers Russia. That's why Russians and Ukrainian people are called, the people of Ukraine are called they're called Eastern European. So it says, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them. Against who? The Babylonians, the Babylon, the land of Babylon, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. And I'm going to read this also in the NLT. Matter of fact, let me go to it right now. NLT, Revelation 13, verse 17. Look, I will stir up the Medes against Babylon. They cannot be tempted, the Medes cannot be tempted by silver or bribed with gold. So now let's come back over here. Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces. What are the modern day bows? The missiles, ICBM missiles, the equivalent of the ICBM missiles, or Russian ICBM missiles, which means intercontinental ballistic missiles. The supersonic missile, which cannot be detected by radar. I did videos on that. And that goes into the Most High is going to get them on a sneak attack. 2 Peter chapter 3. They're gonna get it when their guard is down. That's Nahum chapter 3. Read that whole chapter. Now, when you read Nahum chapter 3, it's talking about Nineveh, but it really it's too, that prophecy came and went. So why do we still read it today? Because now it applies to Babylon the Great. Another name for Babylon the Great is Nineveh. It says 18 verse, their bows, the modern day bows, represent the silos. Out of the bows come forth intercontinental ballistic missiles. Also shall dash the young men to pieces. And let me say this again. When you read all these prophecies, Isaiah, Jeremiah, all these various prophecies, Revelation, Daniel, it's all the same event. Jacob's trouble, it's all the same event. But it's written in a way that you think, certain scholars, they'll go to these various prophecies and they'll say, well, this represents this, what's going to happen with, in this time period. And this one is totally, no. It's the same prophecy, just given to the prophets over and over again. For example, Daniel, you had the Daniel 2, and then you had Daniel 7, and there were two different visions, dreams. Remember, the king had the dream. Daniel had to break it down in Daniel 2. And that's the same dream or vision that John on the Isle of Patmos saw. But it's slightly different. Well, the Daniel 2 to Daniel 7 is completely different. So it seems like it's two different time periods or two different prophecies coming to pass. No, it's all the same prophecy. All the same prophecy. 18 verse. Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces. What is the young men represent the soldiers. Now, because of this situation, and Russia's denying it, the U.S. is saying, nope, you did it. We have proof on that. So we're going to see what's going to, now they're scrambling. Because Russia does not want this war to escalate and become a third world war, but it is going to become a third world war because they have to fulfill prophecy. So if and this is where Article 5 comes into play. Matter of fact, you know what I'm going to do? Let me show you the land of the Medes. And this is a Latin map, but I can read it. Okay, you got our homeland over here. You got Egypt over here. You got the The Red Sea, Mar, meaning water or rivers. Rojo, meaning Red Sea. Got Gulf of Suez, Gulf of Aqaba. We got Gulf of Aqaba. You got Goshen, where we dwelt at. And this is where we went. The so-called Egyptians didn't put us there. This is where we were. This is where we settled. You got Babylon over here. You got Elam, Persia, Carmenia, which is the people of Iran. And these are all Elamites. So you got over here, you got the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea. Caspio, Mar, or sea. Mar meaning water, being river. Like right here is water, red water. Over here is Caspio water, which is not a river, but it's a body of water, just like this is a body of water. Mar Negro, Mar meaning sea, in this case, river, body of water. Negro, the Black Sea is the Black Sea, Mar Negro. And you got the Caspian Sea, which is Mar Caspio. You got the Caucasus Mountains right up here. Esau migrated all up in here and wound up over here. You had Edomites that stayed down there, Mount Seir, and you had some that went in there. Now that's where Philip of Macedonia came out of. That's where Alexander came out of. All in this region right here. They went further north and they founded you had the Japhet, the sons of Japhet up there in Rome, and they took over Rome. The reason why you go to the Roman, these ancient movies of Rome, they wore the togas and they wore the rosemary leaf around their head because they had got that from the Etruscans. They were following the Etruscans and the Picts, which attacked them, a lot of the Roman regions. And what's the other group? You got the Etruscans and the another major group, the Minoans. And then you had other groups, and then they went to the other side of the world, to the islands in the Americas, the South Pacific, Hawaii. Those are the sons of Japhet, which are dark people. They're not so-called white people. So now you search this whole map, you're not going to find Russia. But the closest thing to Russia, Madhya. This is considered Russia, which you can't see that. Caucasus Mountains, you got Russia. That was a no man's land. So that's why the scriptures refer to it as Madhya or the Mede. Matter of fact, let me do this. Let me click on this. Stir up the Medes. And the actual Hebrew word is Madaya. That's why if you look at that map, it says Media, Madaya. But in the English, they'll say Medes. So this is a Spanish map. So they saying it correct. Elam, they're saying it correct. Persia. Susa. Mar, which is sea, Mediterraneo, the Mediterranean Sea. Mar meaning water, whether it's a river, a lake, an ocean. Madaya, Madaya. So let's read this again. Babylon will fall to the Medes, Medes being the Russians. Babylon meaning America. Behold, I will stir up the Medes, and that's what's happening right now. The Most High is stirring them up. The Most High saying, I will stir up the Medes. So the fact that they're arguing about whether the Russians shot two missiles, whether it was mistakenly or not, two missiles were shot in NATO territory. And I'm going to show you what Article 5 is all about. You're going to hear that a lot in the news. And all of y'all should be watching the news, especially now in these times. Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces. The young men is talking about men in the military, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine. And they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. Meaning, when they shoot the missiles, they don't care that there's children that's going to be burnt up. They don't care that there's pregnant women are going to be burnt up. They don't care that there's going to be infants and toddlers and young boys and girls that's going to be burnt up. They don't care that women are going to be burnt up. They don't care that your grandma and your grandma is going to get burnt up. Something's going to happen where they're going to say, F you to Babylon the Great. But ultimately, it's the Most High putting it in their hearts to do so. At the end, when this thing is said and done, Babylon's not going to have any allies because all of their allies are going to shoot arrows on them. So we're in that time. Now, you got a lot of these other camps, One Westers, IUIC, ICPK, HODC, HOI, Lions of Israel, all these different other camps, and Sakari, the list goes on and on. Well, Sakari knows, so they're going to be saying, "See, we're almost out of here." No, so this one prophecy has to come to pass before this destruction come to pass. Before Isaiah 13 come to pass, and that's the Charagma. It says 19 verse, in Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldeans' excellency shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. Go to Genesis chapter 19 and read that. When Abraham looked from a distance and he saw those, it was 5 cities, but the major cities was Sodom and Gomorrah. He saw a great smoke go up into the heavens. 20th verse, it shall never be inhabited. It's going to become a desert. Neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there. What does that mean? You have people from all over the world that come over here for business. You know, you have the Arab people that own the chicken shops and the falafel shops and the gyro shops. And they'll sell you like electronics. A lot of them are Arab, some of them are small hats. So they come over here to make money. And said, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. And what's the main farm, the main place where you get your cattle from in America is the Midwest, the Bible Belt. I've been through the Midwest, man. You go through them, through those states, in a damn bus. And you for miles, it's just wheat fields, cotton fields for miles, for hours. You go to sleep for an hour, you get up, and you still see those fields out there. The bread basket of the East Coast and the West Coast and the rest of America is a Bible Belt. It says, "But wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and sad trees shall dance there." Now let me look up the word sad trees. Because that should be some type of bird. But let me see what the translation is. Sad trees. Sha'ayar. Okay, goats. For the longest time, we thought they were birds. So sad tree is a he goat, buck. May refer to a demon possessed goat like the swine of God, uh, Gadara, Matthew 8. Now, I don't think there's going to be any actual goats there. I don't know if this is like a miss, because goats are good eats. Why would you have goats out there? For what? So you got to put a question mark on this term, but that's what it says. Hairy as a sacrificial animal, he goat, buck. But we'll see. Actually, it's talking about after the smoke is clear, the only animals that you're going to have in the desert of Babylon the Great is desert type creatures that can live in the desert. So you're going to have living beings in the desert, but they're not going to be humans. We're not going to. It's going to be the forbidden zone. In Planet of the Apes, but wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and sad trees shall dance there. And now it said in the when you clicked on it, it said a demon possessed goat. So I'm thinking of Revelation chapter 18, where it goes into every unclean spirit and hateful bird. It says, "And the wild beasts of the island shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant palaces." Where you have pleasant palaces, you're going to have desert animals walking up in them. And Isaiah 34 says the line of confusion. Because you have borders. You have Jersey, you have New York, you have Connecticut. From Jersey, you have what's the next state down, depending on where you go. You got Delaware, you got Pennsylvania. Then you go down to the South countries, you go out west. So there's not going to be any boundaries. And her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. In other words, this is getting ready to happen. So now let me do this. So I put in Article 5, right? When you watch the news, listen to how many times you hear the term Article 5. Article 5. Article 5 provides that if a NATO ally, the US is part of NATO, Canada is part of NATO, Poland is a part of NATO, is the victim of an armed attack, each and every other member of the alliance will consider this an act on them. What is in Article 5? Now, the most that could happen is a ground war. Ground war. Look that up. That's when you got the infantry up in there. That's when you got the U.S. forces on land, and they're gonna be going. They're gonna shoot at each other, and then you're gonna have arm-to-arm, hand-to-hand combat. Prisoners are gonna get taken. Prisoners are gonna get tortured. Prisoners are gonna get their heads chopped off. That's the hatred of the Medes. And then they're battle ready, they're battle tested. The US military are not battle tested. You had skirmishes, and then you're going to lose a lot of fighting men, and therefore you're going to have to enact a draft. And people don't want to go to war because you might get killed. So you're going to have a lot of protests on that. Uproars of the people, the scriptures say. So what is Article 5? Return to menu. Article 5 states that the parties to the NATO treaty agree, and this NATO treaty was brought about in 1949. Because the UN in 1999, I remember we were teaching down on 34th Street long before YouTube. The UN celebrated 50 years of NATO. That an armed attack against one or more of them, NATO nations in Europe or North America, Canada or America, the US, shall be considered an attack against them all. So it already happened. This is why the Ukraine wanted to sign off on being a part of NATO, and they wouldn't allow them. You know why? Because as soon as they become NATO members, all the NATO nations would have to get involved, and that would cause a World War III. And the World War III is going to happen anyway. The war of Armageddon, shall take place. And none of these conscious groups are talking about it because their books don't tell you about it. So this is news, right? Under Article 5. Why are NATO Article 4 and 5 being discussed after the blast in Poland? Well, I explained it. Poland is a member of NATO. A strike on the country could thus mark a pivotal moment in the Russian-Ukraine war opening, depending on what actually, I'm not going to read the rest of it, what is Article 5 of the NATO treaty. Russian missiles reportedly struck Poland, a NATO member, with missiles on Tuesday, setting off a frenzy over the Western alliances. I'm not going to read the rest of it, but that's breaking news. So you're going to hear about Article 5 quite a bit. You're going to hear about NATO, Article 5. They're going to be talking more about this war between Russia and the Ukraine that's been going on since 2014. This war is going on 9 years. This war didn't just happen back in February of this year. So anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom.